Dear Ethan Klein, you can't litigate public opinion. Ethan Klein, a content creator who I have had a huge disdain for since the beginning of time, has recently been caught up in numerous different controversies that more recently have shifted into tense political territory. A brief TLDR on this is that Ethan Klein is Jewish and his wife is Israeli. His wife, Hila Klein, who runs the company H3h3, once worked for the IDF. Since the more recent popularization of the Israel versus Palestine genocide, and I'm calling it a popularization because this has been going on for quite some time now, I think it's like over 70 years, Ethan Klein's views on Israel, Palestine, Hamas, October 7th, as well as the fallout between him and his once friend Hassan Aubrey, of which they both had a podcast called Leftovers together, has kind of divided and split his audience, leading to Ethan Klein losing quite a few subscribers as well as alienating himself within the YouTube community. Now, let me make this clear. People are 100% entitled to their opinion, as well as Ethan Klein. So today, I really don't want to delve into the politics of it all, because quite frankly, I know where I stand and I don't feel like I need to qualify that to anyone. Free Palestine until the wheels fall off. However, Ethan Klein has been extremely vocal about his position, to the point that it has become a place of contention for quite a lot of his viewers, and has caused him to lose a lot of fans that have now landed themselves on the H3 Snark Reddit. The H3 Snark Reddit is a Reddit that was formed around the time of the Trishy Land saga. If you are unaware of the Trishy Land saga, as well as the Trishy's Fishies, Frenemies 3, Frenemies 15, and how the fallout of the Frenemies podcast literally birthed this subreddit as a direct response to the harassment that Trisha Paytas has faced at the hands of Ethan Klein's audience. I have about 50-11 videos, girl. I'll put a playlist somewhere on the screen. I have 50-11 videos. If there is one thing I have been consistent of, it has been my disdain for Ethan Klein. Okay? But essentially what I'm saying is that there is a whole lore that surrounds this whole situation, but I felt like it was important to know that Ethan Klein's most recent discussion surrounding Israel and Palestine has definitely seen an increased boost in the H3 Snark Reddit, one that I have not seen before. Because again, he is creating a lot of quote-unquote fallen fans. However, in my last Ethan Klein video, which I think was about 2 months ago, we left off talking about the Jimmy Lee situation. A member of Ethan Klein's goof gang who was found to have been having some inappropriate relationships with some of Ethan Klein and the H3h3 fans, as well as a staff member. The situation got so bad that Dan screamed at him on the podcast, and Ethan Klein said something to the effect of, "I was trying to protect you." And a lot of people were questioning, why are you trying to protect an alleged predator?
You call dudes sexy when you
hit on girls are married.
You're a liar. You're lying. Okay. You're straight up lying, dude. You are a liar.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. This is why I didn't want. I was protecting. I was protecting you.
Yeah,
well, little did we know 2 months ago that Jimmy Lee would become somewhat of an instrumental part of the present and current drama. So as you guys know, Ethan Klein, H3 podcast, everyone, including myself, girl, I've been away for a hot minute. We all take a break around Christmas time. Everybody's got to take a break. However, during Ethan Klein's break, he ended up having 2 very notable videos become popular and start discussion on social media about the integrity of Ethan Klein. We have Aubrey, a TikTok content creator who is a little person, who speaks retrospectively about his appearance on the H3h3 podcast and how he felt that he was used as a joke and a bit. And then we have Mika's Rhetoric, who made a video that didn't become popularized until Nicholas Diorio began to speak about it. And Nicholas Diorio has been sucking the actual skin off Ethan Klein's peen. And no, that's not a circumcision joke. It is Nicholas Diorio literally having the mouth of a Dyson Hoover. Now, Ethan Klein claimed in his hiatus that he was going to be destroying these content creators when he returns. However, I couldn't help but be left with the feeling that Ethan Klein was speaking about these controversies that quite frankly are just mundane and boring in nature. Like, oh, somebody made a critique video about me and I don't like it, so I'm gonna talk about them. Wah. to steer attention away from a very hypocritical situation that Ethan Klein has found himself in, which honestly is more questionable when it comes to Ethan Klein's morality and integrity, and the literal brand that he built himself on, that he built his channel on, that he saved YouTube copyright policy with. Hey, hi. So it's literally like several hours later and I've been editing, as you can see. I look crazy, I look raggedy, but I completely forgot to tell you that I'm launching something. In a couple of weeks, we're thinking towards the end of January / the beginning of February, I am launching my very own podcast. I have a team, I have a co-host, like the whole nine, the whole shebang. I'm super duper excited to bring this to you guys. It's been a project that I've been working on for like a long while now, and it's literally just been a long process of finding the right people to help me out. We have correspondents who are literally going to be dialing in to be a part of the podcast so that you guys can hear from other people too, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in the near future we'll be able to do loads of different interviews, because I feel like when I interview people, that is literally where I shine. So the podcast will be called the Paige Christie Show, and I really hope you guys will support and tune in. All of the details for that is on my second channel, which is linked in the description box down below. So if I've been MIA on any platforms that you guys regularly see me on, sorry Twitch family, it's literally because I have been working on this other project so that I can bring you guys even more content on a weekly basis on a second channel. I'm so excited. So yeah, tune in to the Paige Christie Show, and you know, because I'm a Virgo, the quality, it's gonna be top tier. So I'll see you there.
That's the trouble, like it's H3h3 show. We don't spill tea, we drink it. Yeah, yeah.
This video will be chaptered, structured, as well as have a Google document in the description box down below for you guys to take a look at so you can see what me and my researchers have been able to find. I don't usually link the Google Docs it is that we use, however, I really don't want Ethan Klein to be able to use this as an opportunity to either say that my content is sloppy, like he did to Mika's rhetoric, that it lacks structure, like he did to Mika's rhetoric, or that it's not researched, like he did to Mika's rhetoric. So let's take a look at the current drama with Ethan Klein and how he is abusing copyright law in order to silence his critics. In today's video, dear Ethan Klein, you can't litigate public opinion. Okay, so as we know, the H3h3 podcast took a short hiatus around Christmas time. I imagine to spend time with your family, all of that good stuff. And during this hiatus, a content creator called Aubrey Smalls, who describes himself as a historian as well as a filmmaker, with a TikTok following of over 180,000 followers, made a video speaking about an experience it is that he had on a podcast and why he is a little bit more selective when it comes to the podcasts that he chooses to go on to. Now, whilst he didn't say the specific podcast's name, it was pretty clear to the audience what podcast it was that Aubrey was speaking about. So in the TikTok video that went semi-viral on TikTok, Aubrey speaks about going on to the H3h3 podcast and how he felt like he was used as a bit. Now, Aubrey is a little person. He is a person with dwarfism who attempted to get onto the H3 podcast, a podcast that he was a fan of at the time, to potentially educate the extremely bigoted Jimmy Lee on why his jokes about people with dwarfism are inappropriate and just downright not funny.
So there was a podcast that I was on one time and it was a horrible experience, and it's why I'm never going to go on another podcast again. And no, I will not be naming the podcast, even though some of you definitely know what I'm talking about. But they had a segment one time with the podcast owner's dad and some comedian who, mind you, the same podcast is now accusing of SA years later. But the comedian one day was talking in a bit about how he has a phobia of little people. And they were going on and on about a lot of miseducation around dwarfism in general. So I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect time to educate people. We love a good educational moment, especially as a viewer at the time with dwarfism. So I wrote on their subreddit, I was like, hey, I'm a filmmaker and educator. I would love to come on and educate you guys and talk about the dwarfism community and specifically the phobia of little people, since I know that's such a gray area for a lot of people. So the post blew up. All the fans of the show were like, we would love to see Aubrey on the show. They reached out, and then next thing you know, I'm in the waiting room the next episode to talk to the comedian and the podcast owner's dad. And I thought this was going to be a educational little moment, but I was coming on to be a bit. They essentially had, leading up to my appearance, a whole compilation of this guy, all the times that he said publicly on the internet that he's afraid of little people, and just a lot of derogatory jokes about little people. And then they were like, and drum roll, we have a little person to surprise you. And they brought me in with basically no warning.
Now, in this section of the video, Aubrey states that he was brought in with no warning. Now, this one sentence has become like a huge cause for contention when it comes to discourse online, with people assuming that Audrey meant that he was not aware that he was going to be going on to the podcast to confront Jimmy Lee as well as Ethan Klein's father, who both seem to equally share this really bigoted point of view of little people. However, when you put it together with context and actually seeing the footage of the altercation that took place on the H3 podcast, you will actually find that the people who had no warning was Jimmy Lee and Ethan Klein's father. They were unaware that Aubrey was going to be having this discussion with them. So to me, it was somewhat understandable that Aubrey would kind of feel a little bit slighted about the fact that the guests weren't prepared. And I genuinely believe that the context was correct. Aubrey was brought in very much like, well, guess what? We've got a little person for you, and they're going to talk to you about why you shouldn't discriminate against them. To your face. It was quite clear to me, at least from the outset, that this was less of an educational moment as it was a moment of entertainment. It's that same entertainment value that a lot of people felt when Gideon went to the most racist town in the US to confront racists as a black man. Like, realistically, bigoted people like this aren't going to find any kind of common ground. So the altercation is basically seen as entertainment for the audience as well as for the people who hold these very narrow-minded views.
And the whole bit was basically just about having a little person go against two guys who were just talking about how little people, what are they going to do? Kick you in the shins? And then brought me in. And it just really solidifies the fact that, one, I'm a class act. Because y'all, I wanted to cuss them out. But I do believe in digital footprints. And mind you, this was in front of like 50,000 people watching live. And because what you're not going to do is pretend like just because I have dwarfism that you can suddenly start making jokes as if I'm not a grown man who pays taxes and like has a life. Shame on you, weirdo. But two, again, I'm an educator. I do believe in trying my best. And I did what I could. They weren't willing to listen. They weren't wanting to listen. The whole crew was just laughing the whole time. And it was like an out-of-body experience. I definitely disassociated for maybe 30 seconds because I was like, it's very strange watching something that you consumed for so long and then finally being involved in that circle and then just realizing you're there to be a joke. Very weird thing. And it really, now I'm so conscious of what I say yes to and the things that I say and participate in. And the only podcast I listen to now, because I ain't listening to that anymore, is Do We Know Them? Because we love the girlies. And one of them actually has a child with a disability and talks so openly and respectfully about that. And then also I listen to my own podcast because I love the sound of my own voice. Sorry, some of us have soothing, calming voices that's enjoyable to listen to. But don't worry about me, though. I'm doing better things. At the time, I had just started working on my documentary, and I was also told them that I would love to talk to people about that and why I was making a documentary about little people that actually hired little people behind the camera and in front of the camera in the first place, you know, because of issues like us being constantly used as like I'm scared of little people and the experiences that we have. But that fundraiser, it took a long time to reach our goal, but we finally did a couple months ago in the summer, which was really exciting. And also, I'm still hot, so, and the podcast owner now is crashing out on the internet publicly, so, how things change.
Now, it's clear that Aubrey was looking retrospectively at what took place all those years ago and basically seeing the current controversy that Ethan Klein has found himself in and his subsequent crash out as some karmic justice. However, Ethan Klein, during his hiatus, would go onto Instagram to say the following: "Enough with these weak-ass call-outs, trying to cash out on H3 hate. This shit not paying out anymore. Fuck this dude. We have insane amounts of receipts to disprove everything. I see you trying to erase shit too. Don't worry, I have it all saved. Why the fuck would you make this video? Jake Doolittle levels of self-owning. Enjoy the new year, dipshit." Man, this dude is gonna look so effing dumb when we're back. So obvious with this comment, he's scraping for any clout he can get from this new wave of H3 hate. And he always start talking shit the minute I'm on break too. Just a little coincidence. So in response to this, and likely knowing that he was going to be featured on a segment of the H3h3 show, Aubrey decided to take to TikTok to basically explain why it is that he felt the way that he felt. As well as basically saying that the podcast was pre-recorded, that there was lots of information and context that were left out. He encourages the H3 team to show the entire recording, as well as making it known that there was frequent usage of slurs towards little people.
Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about this once and then we're moving on. I posted a video today about a podcast appearance that I was on 2 years ago, and although I did not disclose the name or the podcast that I was on, the viewers have figured it out. So I wanted to address the comments and questions in the recent Instagram post that Ethan Klein made about me a few minutes ago. This is a deeply personal and important topic for me, so I wanted to take some time to set the record straight and share my side of the story. There's been a lot of conversation from Ethan Klein's fans about me trying to clout chase by sharing this story, which again, never mentioned his name, and that I'm trying to capitalize off of Ethan's current situation. That couldn't be further from the truth, so I wanted to make this video to explain everything in full context. In 2022, I was a listener of a podcast, and there was one episode where they were talking about phobias and fears of little people, and proper wording for people with dwarfism. At the time, they were using slurs that most of us know are not appropriate, but I figured it would be a great opportunity to see if I could get on the show to talk about the proper verbiage and to educate people on dwarfism. As someone with dwarfism myself who experiences in-person and online harassment just because of the fact that I have a disability, I was hoping that this appearance would help bridge the gap of understanding and start some meaningful dialogue. Unfortunately, during the episode, I was subjected to ableist jokes and comments about little people that made me really uncomfortable. I kept my composure and smiled at the time. It was really hurtful, to be honest. I didn't even know how to process it in the moment, except for doing what I do best, which is putting a smile on things and trying to spin it in a positive direction. Immediately afterwards, I emailed the crew asking if I could come back on the show during a live segment to talk about what I wanted to talk about in the first place, because I was worried that just the segment we had filmed would leave a bad taste in people's mouths and make them assume that I was part of this joke that I was never keyed in on. So I was on the show again a few days later after the segment we had pre-filmed aired, and they played it again and then had me come on to talk about it. And I just stayed positive because I was hoping that if I was positive and I was focusing on the good, that people would forget about the segment essentially. I was hoping that by focusing on kindness and grace and showing empathy, that would go farther and people would remember me by that as opposed to what happened during that segment. Ethan and the crew talked on the show, that episode, the live one, about how they had to edit a lot of stuff down, so I hope that maybe one day they'll release the full video so that you can see all of the jokes that I was subjected to that didn't even make it into the final cut. After the episode and the days following, I posted on the subreddit thanking the host and the crew for having me on because I wanted to focus on the positives, which was that the audience was actually really lovely to me, and I think really understood the message that I was trying to convey, despite having to fight people who just were refusing to see my humanity during that. I didn't want to stir up controversy because I had no followers on the internet at the time, and this podcast and the host had millions of followers, and I also hadn't fully processed what had happened since the segment just had come out. So I figured if I stayed kind and positive, that people would focus on the educational purpose of my appearance as opposed to everything else. As time went on though, I reflected on that experience more and more. I realized that these ableist jokes weren't just one-off harmless jokes. They were a part of a larger pattern of influencers on YouTube and social media using their platforms to perpetuate harmful jokes and ideologies about little people.
Now, it was quite clear to everybody that Aubrey was speaking retrospectively, and I have to keep saying this because it seems as if nobody on the H3h3 cast can understand what it means to look backwards at something retrospectively and change their mind on positions and behaviors that took place. It's almost as if Aubrey isn't allowed to change his mind about the way it is he feels about that past episode in 2022. Like, if we're keeping it a buck and a bean, girl, I used to be a big old hoe back in the day. There are people retrospectively I wish I never slept with. For instance, there are a lot of bigoted comments and slurs that Ethan Klein has said. In the same light, there are lots of things that I'm sure that Ethan Klein retrospectively does not agree with. For instance, he retrospectively apologized to QT Cinderella for the way it is that he portrayed her on the podcast. He's made it quite clear that he doesn't agree with the behavior it is that he displayed. And he disagrees with the jovial nature of how he did that segment. So please explain to me why Ethan Klein has the ability to retrospectively look back and disagree with past actions, but Aubrey Smalls can't look back on his appearance at the podcast and not agree with the circumstances of how it took place. It's giving very much rules for me and not for thee, and it's just a H3 hypocrisy. We are very used to this by now.
Now Ethan is claiming that he has proof that I was okay with the appearance, and people are upset because I've deleted the posts today on Reddit and Instagram celebrating the appearance. And that's honestly just because those posts don't accurately represent how I feel, and I feel that they're being used to invalidate my experiences and to ignore the fact that there was a lot of ableist rhetoric going on, that the segment was harmful, regardless if people think it was a joke or not, and that those posts are not proof of anything but those moments right after the podcast where I was trying to stay positive and pivot in a more positive direction. For those calling me a clout chaser or saying that I'm hopping on a hate train because the host is currently under some controversy, that is just so far from the truth. I've been speaking about this for years now and never once mentioned the name or the podcast, which would be something you would do if you were looking for clouts. This is about advocating for fairness and respect, not about hating or canceling people. I understand that fans of the podcast may feel defensive or upset, but I urge you to see it from my perspective as someone who is subjected to hurtful language about literally my body and the way it looks every single day, and then to have that put into a video form with 1.1 million views as of today. Just because one audience might see a set of jokes funny or harmless doesn't negate the fact that they can be harmful to the larger disability community. There is no timeline for when you're allowed to feel uncomfortable by a situation where, regardless if you want to admit it, ableism was perpetuated. And I think especially at the time, I think it's a very normal experience for people to have, to sometimes freeze up in the moment and go, I'm just going to play along because I just want to get out of the situation and I don't want this to be forever how people perceive me. Which again explains why I was trying to be so positive afterwards and thankful. I never want to burn bridges with anybody, which is why I thanked the crew, still thank the podcast host for allowing me the opportunity to come on. I know some people are also asking, why didn't you tell him you were uncomfortable? Why didn't you tell him to take the video down? And I would encourage you to think about power dynamics and how those come into play when someone like me, who's already marginalized and harassed and made fun of on the internet, who has no platform, telling someone with millions of followers to take a video down. And mind I tell you, I did say that I was uncomfortable with the episode that we filmed, which is why I wanted to come back on again to kind of start anew. How many times have you been at your job and maybe your boss or manager has said something to you that you have not agreed with or not felt comfortable with, but you didn't feel like you could tell them directly, hey, don't do that again, please? Power dynamics are a real thing, especially when it comes to influential figures. I thank the people who continue to fight against ableism. It means the world to me knowing that so many of you care so deeply about things like this and want to see an equal and inclusive world for all where nobody would find jokes about phobias of disabled people and our bodies appropriate or comedic, or something that should be platformed. And despite the comments on Reddit being made about me in an ableist way, despite the DMs and messages that I'm getting and comments on these videos, I encourage you to move with kindness in response to them, because there's not going to be any good done by fighting fire with fire. I love you guys. Keep going.
And honestly, Aubrey, I literally couldn't have said it better myself. There are numerous different things that have taken place in my own life that I look back on and think to myself, I wish I had no part in that. However, when Ethan Klein responded to this finally on the podcast on their comeback show, Ethan Klein's receipts of how it was all okay and he was definitely on board with everything was showing extremely heavily edited clips of the podcast show itself that Aubrey was on, as well as numerous different direct messages, emails, and correspondence between the H3 show producers and Aubrey prior to him coming onto the show. Again, the show where Aubrey shows up and it is the guests, Jimmy Lee and Ethan Klein's father, who are surprised by Aubrey's attendance.
And I thought this was gonna be an educational little moment, but I was coming on to be a bit. They essentially had, leading up to my appearance, a whole compilation.
That's an outright malicious lie. That's provable. I don't know why he's doing this. It's disgusting, especially considering like his whole point is like activism. And I feel like it was actually like a wholesome, good moment. And I mean, in terms of like teaching people about like a prejudice against little people, that was, you know, and to imply that that wasn't the intention and that it was to bring him on and humiliate him or something is just a malicious outright lie that I will prove to you. But I'm going to continue watching his video and then I'll show you everything we've got.
Of this guy, all the times that he said publicly on the internet that he's afraid of little people and just a lot of derogatory jokes about little people. And then they were like, and drum roll, we have a little person to surprise you. And they brought me in with basically no warning.
Why?
I mean, no warning.
Why would you say that?
That's crazy.
When it's so... There's so many receipts, dude. Like, what are you doing?
You guys don't remember?
This is so embarrassing.
You don't remember us dragging him in?
What does he mean, no warning? Like,
I don't know.
Like we had him blindfolded and we walked him in?
The warning existed. It was in writing.
We're going to show you guys. You're going to laugh when you see all this.
What are you doing?
The part that pisses me off, though, is like, it's such a transparent attempt to cash in on all the people that hate me on TikTok. Like, it's so fucking transparent, bro, that it's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic, man. And so, you know, what I said at the time when I made a story about this is like, this shit's not paying out anymore. I'm not going to sit here and let you lie about me. Like, fuck you, dude. Let's get to the receipts, you guys. All right.
Keep saying that.
Here's the original post. Let's go through this. Of him saying he wanted to call in. Let's take a look. Ethan, I'm an actor with dwarfism. I'm currently making a documentary comedy special about disability hate group on YouTube that's been cyberbullying me for over a year. I would love to call in tomorrow during the Tippy Toes segment and chat about Jimmy's little people phobia and dwarfism representation. The context, by the way, was that we were talking about how fucked up of a movie Tiptoes is. Aubrey Smalls volunteered to spend a day with Jimmy and change his mind about the dwarfism community. Maybe I can even get him to donate to our movie that has multiple dwarves in it. Thank you for sharing this. Isn't it amazing the impact representation can have on people's lives, outlooks, and how they treat others? Many people I meet admit they have zero knowledge on people with dwarfism, and that's not their fault. Over 100,000 people are born with dwarfism every year. To average height people, but all we have is what? Munchkins, Oompa Loompas, Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones? I'm trying to give people more reference when they think of little people in Hollywood. Since Hollywood is still putting us in the Dwarf Villager 1 category, I decided to write our own movie while telling a true story about my experience with online harassment due to my dwarfism. I, Aubrey Smalls, volunteer. But okay, fair enough. Saw your post about potentially calling into the podcast during the Tiptoes stream to discuss dwarfism representation and Jimmy Lee. Now, unfortunately, the Tiptoes live stream didn't exactly pan out as expected, but we wanted to reach out for another option. Tomorrow, we're filming an episode with Ethan's dad and Jimmy Lee in an old couple sort of situation, and we'll need to confront Jimmy again. Notice the word confront, about his problematic jokes to see if we can get through. It's cut off there, but I'm assuming to him.
Yeah.
The clips we want to ask him about is the dwarfism jokes from the previous appearance of his. We tell him specifically what we're...
Super specific about what we were doing. Totally transparent.
Like Jimmy had said,
Fully aware.
I forget what he said, but it was something really super offensive to little people. We had talked about it. We had acknowledged it. And we had told him specifically what it was. Now, what we wanted to ask, would you be interested in calling in to discuss with him why his joke might be offensive? We'll totally be there to back you up during the conversation because he has to chill out a bit. Haha. If you're not comfortable with this, we totally understand. Another option would be just send in a video message and we can play it for him during the recording. Would you be interested in either of those options? We're taping tomorrow around 12 p.m. Let me know. Thanks so much for reading and looking forward to hearing from you. So again, we gave him not only the option, we told him exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He was going to come in, he was going to confront Jimmy Lee on this specific joke.
That there would be a compilation of his previous jokes and then that we would confront him about it, which is exactly what he cited as being like, him not being in the loop.
We blindsided him.
Yeah, we blindsided him.
He responds, "Hi, hope you're doing well. Thanks for response. I'd be totally down to call into the chat with them, and I'm available tomorrow at 12 p.m. PST. Perfect. Thank you so much. I will shoot you an email tomorrow around 11, and we can set up a Zoom test, and then we'll be looking forward to chatting on the show. Thanks, Aubrey. Talk soon. Sounds great." After the show, Dan sent him a thank you.
After the recording. Hadn't aired yet. Keep in mind, this was just we
was not
recorded
live.
it. This was
in
not
the
live.
tank.
Yep.
Hi, Aubrey. Thank you for calling in. That got a little spicy, and we appreciate you trying your best to educate and inform using the platform. Not sure how it will resonate with Jimmy's long term, but we definitely going to debrief with him and talk it out. Hopefully it wasn't too much for you. They're more resistant than expected. We will keep you posted on when it will come out. Thanks again, and let me know if you have any questions. Aubrey said, "Thanks for having me. Such an honor to chat, even though I know things got awkward for everybody. I would honestly love to chat about calling back in to talk about what the Reddit post was actually about. I was really inspired by the outpouring of support from fellow H3 listeners who are rooting for a positive discussion on dwarfism. The dwarfism representation outside of Jimmy's comments. I'm usually not so serious, and neither is the project I'm making. It's more surrealistic, artistic, educational content than anything. Haha. I know we didn't have a chance to do that today, but I've seen the positive impact H3 has had in the YouTube atmosphere, and I would love to chat about the chance to push the ball forward for the community I know and love. Plus, Ethan the other night said, disabled people are heroes, and I agree. There are so many iconic people with dwarfism out there that your listeners seem to be down to talk more about. So I wanted to see what your thoughts were on this. Let me know what you think." He seems to like me.
Yeah.
He seems to respect me at this time. For he's interesting. Now I'm crashing out. He's getting his revenge on me because I'm crashing out. We would love to have you call back in. We are editing the episode together for next week as we have a guest tomorrow, so it'll likely be out next Friday. And then once it's out, we would love to debrief and talk more about your post and project. Once our editor finalizes it and we lock in the date, I'll be sure to let you know ASAP. You're the best. Talk soon. Hi, Aubrey. I know it's a bit last minute, but is there any chance you'd be available to call in today? We're currently live and would love to hear from you. I would love to. I'm watching now. Oh, he sounds like a big fan.
Uh-huh.
Thank you guys for making it happen and being so cool. You guys rock. Please let everyone know how thankful I am, he said after the show.
Mm-hmm.
Dan said, appreciate you, Aubrey. So does our audience. They were so thrilled with your call. That was great, and we're all thankful for the insight you provided. Best wishes and good luck on your project. That sounds like a horrible fucking experience we had.
Yeah, awful, huh?
We abused him,
Completely blindsided. We made it, and what a joke we made out of him.
Me and my team were actually able to find the original clip, and even one of the producers of the H3h3 podcast show stated that they really had to heavily edit and splice it so that the content itself was even usable, kind of lending some validity to Aubrey's version of events, that it is a heavily edited piece of production.
I hate fucking midgets, man. I don't want anybody sniffing around my fly unless they're serious.
I need to confront you on something, okay?
I know which one it was.
Which one?
I don't like midgets, Ethan. I can't hide my feelings. Don't get mad. I just never liked them.
The word midgets is very offensive, okay? We don't use that word anymore.
I thought it was a pretty good joke. Jolly Roger liked it. Pretty funny. It's just an old style joke. That's really all it was.
What'd you think of that, Gary?
All right, so we planned the intervention for for the whole midget thing. And I was expecting my dad, to kind of ride for the social issue. He thought that was a highlight reel. He's clapping, so just brace yourself, guys. Go easy on my dad, please.
Some classic offensive humor. I think it's very clever and very smart, because if you're going to go after a minority group, who is less apt to hurt you than midgets or little people, right? You make fun of other groups. They have big, serious, threatening people, not midgets. What are they going to do? Come up and kick you in the knee or something? That's
Okay, I'm really glad you said that, Gary, because we actually...
Okay, so clearly he failed. He failed the test. But actually, the worst part is, guys, what comes next. And boy, just notice their face. I mean,
And in the role of a lifetime, Gary.
All right, I'm just going to play it. Everybody, tighten your sphincter.
Actually have a little person on the call. They've been listening. And so Dan is going to bring them in right now, and we can sort of open a dialogue here. Okay. So, this is Aubrey.
so far so good.
Gary.
Hello, Aubrey.
Hi, Gary.
How you doing?
How you doing, kid?
Yeah, love you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Even though you think I would come up and kick you in the shins.
Well, I have pretty low shins too, so.
And you guys are both pretty short, so I wouldn't really be coming after our community.
Ooh. We knew we wanted to get him on the show. This is him, legend. And this is what we did, and I'm so sorry. To him, of course.
Yeah, to him.
But let's see. Does he break through? Let's see.
Jimmy, the comments that you made, you weren't really serious. Like you don't actually dislike little people, right?
This is an act. It's
Exactly.
an act. And I'm a loving, big-hearted, nice guy that does a comedy act, and I don't mean anything I say. No, it's just intended to laugh at ourselves, Aubrey. That's all it is.
Right. No, yeah, I am.
I love how
trust me,
I love how Jimmy's thing is always, we got to laugh at ourselves. It's like, who's ourselves? You're consistently slamming other people only.
I've been performing since in the entertainment industry, in the circus since I was 4. Now I do stand-up comedy. Trust me, I was not offended. And I think I could tell it wasn't really a serious comment to me.
No.
Do you actually know any people with dwarfism?
I have patience.
Okay, who are little people?
And I didn't do that joke on them, Aubrey, in the office, by the way.
Oh, I know, Jim.
Because I'm a dentist in the office, not the comedian.
You do come from a very different generation where there was very different representations, obviously, of little people. Even medically speaking, doctors used to still use the word midget, even though there's no such thing as a midget. We are people with dwarfism, and there's hundreds of types of dwarfism. So my only question was just if you do know little people and you're not really scared of them, but do you see how maybe that would have like real world implications for a group that has no representation,
I
that
understand.
is ever shown in a sexual or violent manner? So I'm saying, even just as a comedian, I really just don't think that's the lane you want to go down.
Okay, I got you.
Do you see how it's nothing about if I find it offensive?
I understand.
I don't think you're that person, but as someone who's literally making a movie right now about how YouTube allows people to follow us around who sometimes are minors and go around calling us all of these names, but that aren't even names that are reflective of a medical condition, literally just a slur. I just figure that you are someone who doesn't actually hate little people.
I don't hate anybody. And Zach's been telling me to quit for years. I may have to take his advice.
I don't think you should quit, but I definitely think you should realize that comedy can be sustained without literally using someone else as a punching bag. What do you feel? You can be honest, Jimmy.
No, I have plenty of other jokes. I don't have to use the midget joke.
Everyone can be joked about. I just think it's the offhandedness and the fact that you're just quick to move on to another joke where I get followed in stores and I have someone online literally who's been stalking and threatening and harassing me just because I have dwarfism. He calls it Midget Wednesday. And I just don't think you would want to be associated with that.
No, I don't. I'm going to let that one go.
Jimmy, this is an iconic conversation then, you realize.
Well, I'm not ever going to do a little people joke again. We're going to knock that off the dock. We're letting it go after listening to you.
We appreciate, your perspective, Aubrey. It's been very informative and enlightening, and I hope It's resonating.
Like, I love talking and arguing. It's if I ever came across a certain way, please don't think you are not offensive in the way that you talk about little people that I hear every single day. So it's not about being offended at all.
It wasn't
Gary, I'm like
harmful intended. I just do comedy.
I love it. And again, I'm a comedian, guys. You don't know my humor too. So you don't know I could be just as but
you can make fun of a Jew. I'm right here. Just don't shoot me.
We don't need to make
Two
fun of anybody.
Two Jews planning a fire.
Two Jews walk into a bar.
There's lots of other content out there, and that's what I would just like to say as my final.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you,
Please,
Aubrey.
Jimmy, please look up DearAverageHypePeople.com, making a documentary comedy special about that disability hate group because YouTube just doesn't care enough to protect small creators. So it's DearAverageHypePeople.com, and we're raising money right now to finish the film. Jimmy, you would love this. It's a comedy special, Jimmy. We're making fun of ourselves. We're making fun of everybody. The point is to bridge the gap between people like you and people like me.
I want to say one thing. Me and Guy are going to say it together. We love you. Say it.
Yeah, what he said.
Thank you, guys.
Aubrey,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay,
It was
Thank you so
great.
much, Aubrey.
Thank you.
So
Take
much,
care.
Aubrey.
Good luck.
Whoa, that went
Thank
better
you.
than I thought. I mean, Jimmy I think, okay, there was a lot of finessing.
There's a lot.
You actually finessed that to making it look like Jimmy learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
It was a bumpy conversation, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth. I had to cut a lot for the sake of brevity, but it'll be in the final cut there.
But that was nice. But ultimately, in the end, actually, there was some progress with Jimmy there swearing off little people.
So Ethan Klein didn't go out of his way to show full context of the conversations and the original recording, which should have been able to squash any questions that people had about how this conversation really went down. So he gives us heavily edited video footage and correspondence between Aubrey and production where he is A-okay with everything. Not deterred by this whole situation, Aubrey then went forward to ask if he could go onto the podcast to speak about what he wanted to speak about, which was his production that he was doing. I think it was some kind of comedy show with disabled individuals, and he had like a website called Dear Normal Hype People or something of that nature. So I guess even from that alone, that kind of gives me the feeling that Aubrey didn't feel like he got all that he needed to get out of that podcast segment. The H3 team allowed him to come on a second time. He was able to plug his show, and I guess he went on feeling a little bit more confident about the situation between himself and the H3 podcast. However, retrospectively, in 2024, 2025, Aubrey feels like he made the wrong decision, which, for goodness sake, he is entitled to. A decent human being would just turn around and go, oh shit, I really didn't realize I made you feel that way. I felt like I went above and beyond to try and make you feel comfortable, but I didn't. I fell short. How can I make this better? But no, not Ethan Klein. He's going to talk about it on his podcast, attack a member of a marginalized group who has struggles of which Ethan will never ever be able to fathom, and then police them on how they should feel about their own presence. But don't forget, guys, Ethan is a good guy. But the interesting thing is that Ethan Klein has literally a patented history of referring to little people by terms that are either outdated or completely inappropriate. Like, this has been a running bit for Ethan on his show for quite some time. Like 1 year ago when he called Big Nick a troll, a demonic little troll and troll-like.
He's such a fucking hateful
troll out.
And I don't say troll because of his stature. I don't joke about that. That's just not a fair thing to laugh about. I say that like in the sense of like a troll.
The small jokes were so much that Dan had to jump in and try and save his ass by saying, well, some trolls are big.
I mean, if you Google troll and you go to a drawing of a classic troll. So, I mean, here you go. You know what I mean? Just a demonic little troll. And little...
Trolls are oftentimes depicted quite large in fantasy literature, such as the stone trolls that Bilbo speaks to until daybreak comes, and then they are turned to stone by daylight.
That's right. They were big.
Large, yeah.
And that big motherfucker that broke into Hogwarts, he was a troll.
There it is.
Big motherfucker was broken to Hogwarts.
And just to clarify, I'm not talking about these trolls, which are very small in stature and quite strange looking.
Right.
These are not the trolls I'm talking about. when I call him a troll.
Right.
Then Ethan went on to call Big Nick another slur for a little person, consisting of the letters I, M, and P. Little trickster demon, short stacked imp goblin vibes, and little demon.
All right, well, that was Nick. Sorry, Taylor. Didn't mean to platform that. Imp. Have we done the imp thing with Big Nick already, or is that uncharted ground?
I reckon, yeah, he's talked about imps before, but maybe something new.
No, but just that, like, I would call him, he's like imp-like, but not because of his size, because of his, like, because he's like a little trickster demon. But an imp demon.
I just know Dan's in the bathroom and I'm nervous.
Me too.
Here's what an imp looks like. They're like a little winged demon. And that's what he's like.
Those are cooler than him, though. Come on. Demons are cool, dude.
Imps are dope. Those are low-level demons in most MMORPGs.
Come back fast, Dan.
I was just saying. Oh, I was just asking if we'd done the Big Nick Imp Discord.
Short stacked.
Big Nick's that short
What
stack
happened?
imp goblin vibes. All right, I'm out of this. Thank you, Big Nick. We love you.
Oh, I see where we're going.
Then we have Ethan Klein making the same joke about, is Munchkin a slur? 4 times in the past 1.5 years. He does this on July 12, 2023, January 24th, 2024, August 26th, 2024, and November 15th, 2024.
Many people are saying many.
Can you say Munchkin? Because that's more of like, that's like a whimsical creature from Wizard of Oz.
Munchkin isn't offensive?
Well, I guess calling a little person a Munchkin would be offensive, but I'm saying like, just change it to be about a Wizard of Oz Munchkin.
People are saying mini matzo. That's not bad. Mini matzo.
Yeah, but he's considered a munchkin. He's coined a munchkin. I don't know. I don't know the politics in Oz.
Is munchkin a derogatory word?
Written in Wicked, it is a part of that world. I don't know about this world.
Wizard, I think if you would call a little person a Munchkin, they'd probably be upset.
I think so too.
Munchkins are like it's like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? They're like mice in Oz.
So is the word munchkin from Wizard of Oz, or does it predate Wizard of Oz?
You know, I don't know.
Because if it predates it, then it's derogatory in
Let's
Wizard
see,
of Oz.
Munchkin etymology.
They use that term Munchkin for food, donuts, or there's Munchkin donuts. So does that gotta go away?
It's from the Munchkins depicted as a race of small, childlike creatures in Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Okay, so he's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive by him.
Yep. Munchkin?
Say that? Is that a bad word? Munchkin?
I don't know. I feel like you call him anything.
How would that be a bad word?
I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but a Munchkin is a fantasy character. It is not an actual creature.
It's what. It's just. Hold on, I'm gonna look into this. What is a munch? Oh, there's a shopping thing called a munchkin, so it can't be that bad. Baby products and accessories.
Yeah, I buy a lot of their stuff. It's just a
brand.
brand.
You do? Okay.
Just a brand.
I think I'm no expert, but Munchkin is not a slur.
Yeah, isn't it like a term of endearment or something?
I just thought it was like a little.
You little munchkin. No?
Okay, so it wouldn't be nice to call a little person a munchkin. Makes sense.
Okay.
But Jack Doherty,
Yeah,
you can't call him.
Is he not a little person?
He is very little.
He's a person.
But
Your Honor.
But he's a person. But I don't think I don't think they would want him in the ranks of their community.
Is he a small man? He looks like a munchkin. Is he a small in stature guy?
Zach Ryan?
Yeah.
We're wondering what his height is?
Yeah, I small man.
on Ethan's bid here.
Can we?
Oh, sorry.
Well,
I don't think so.
No, he's right. How old is he? Can we say Munchkin?
Oh shit.
Munchkin? Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
can.
he's not. He doesn't have a condition.
No, I'm making a joke. But is he small in stature? I guess.
I think he called like a.
Oh,
dwarf.
okay. So he's not a small guy.
What's his height?
5'10".
5'10".
Yeah.
If you called a dwarf a munchkin, that would not be okay.
Yeah, that would not be okay at all.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
disrespect
munchkins are- yeah.
little people.
We love little people here on the show. Nothing but respect.
Nothing but respect.
My team was also able to find another instance in April of 2022, where Ethan is speaking about 2 of the main people of Selling Sunset, which is a show about like real estate in LA and all that. Anyway, the 2 guys who run the estate agent business are shorter men, to which Ethan Klein regards them as 2 little munchkins.
The 2 owners of the brokerage are these little munchkins, and they're so creepy. They only hire like young, beautiful women, and then they date them, and they're the 2 little munchkin popsicle kids, and they're just
The
so
lollipop gang? Is
disgusting
that
and
what you're
creepy. And so like I like that it was centered around that, but the new season is just fucking awful. I can't watch it.
Now, since this whole situation took place and Aubrey has given his thoughts and feelings on attending the H3 podcast and how he retrospectively feels about it, Aubrey has been brigaded across all of his social media. He has received 2 strikes on his TikTok channel, putting his TikTok monetization and channel at risk. Not saying that is 100% attributed to H3h3, but the timing is very interesting.
This account is sadly at risk of getting banned at any moment. I randomly received 2 strikes and my other main account was hacked and is now permanently banned. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a second to follow me on YouTube, I just started posting again on that channel and I'm hoping to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this month. And I'm also on Instagram at Aubrey Smalls, and I would love to get in touch with you guys there. So sorry to see this account go. I've had so much fun on Dwarfism history, but hopefully we'll see you guys soon on some of those other platforms.
And a person on the H3 podcast subreddit literally soft doxed Aubrey. And considering Aubrey's whole reason for going onto the podcast was to shed light on a situation that was extremely important to him, how little people have been disregarded in society, and how there is a group of people who harass little people on YouTube, only for Ethan in 2025 to come through and do it again. Now, granted, that post on the H3 subreddit was taken down by moderators. However, Ethan Klein can't deploy the "oh, my audience don't attack people," because yes, they do. It is a patented history. We have seen this for years and years on end. It's actually one of the biggest reasons that I fucking dislike you, because you literally never, ever go out of your way to just tell your audience, hey, don't do it, stop. If anything, you've just exasperated the situation. So with Aubrey's feelings of how things went on the show, the limited and highly edited receipts it is that Ethan Klein has produced to the audience, and the patented history of Ethan Klein using some really nasty slurs about little people, so much so that it's turned into a running gag and a bit on the show.
Small man on Ethan's bit here.
Can we?
Oh, sorry.
I don't think it's weird for Aubrey to have felt that he was used in that particular situation, retrospectively. But Audrey was not... Have I been saying Audrey or Aubrey this whole time? If I've been saying Audrey, I'm really sorry, I meant Aubrey. However, Aubrey isn't the only person to have caught that Ethan Klein smoke on his comeback tour. Introducing a person that I deeply respect, Mika's rhetoric. Okay, so the Mika's rhetoric situation is slightly different because Mika's rhetoric didn't actually release anything whilst Ethan Klein was on hiatus. She made her video sometime before the break. However, Nicholas Diorio came across it and popularized the content. In a video titled, "Ethan Klein Gets Exposed by Crazy Woman She Fears for Her Life." In this video, Nicholas Diorio basically watches Mika's rhetoric's video and fundamentally dislikes the content, not just the subject matter and material, but just the overall production of how Mika does her videos.
Going over a Ethan Klein exposed video that is about 70,000 views from a smaller T-channel content creator. Now, this person knows who I am. I don't remember who they are. I guess we've had some interaction in the past. It's something that's come up. You probably saw it in the intro clip. The reason why we're looking at this today is because it's a brutal video. Typical T-channel fashion, it's mostly just a conversation that doesn't have supplemental clips. It gives the person an opportunity to lie, and they do that a lot in this video. The choices in argumentation are horrendous, and probably the most obnoxious part is the entire video is cased in, "Oh, I'm afraid. Ethan Klein's community is so brutal, guys. I don't know if I'm going to have a career tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get doxxed." And it's one of the most disgusting, degenerate ways to shield yourself from criticism, to just come out here and make these broad claims that you're in danger because you're talking about, like, I mean, if you don't want to talk about drama, don't talk about drama. It's absolutely pathetic to open a video like that. I have no respect for people who do this.
What I will say is, whilst I understand the lack of structure to Mika's videos can be a little bit annoying to people who like structure. As you can tell, I'm a girl who likes structure. Mika's videos are more like podcasts. They are intended to be listened to and raw and honest, almost as if you're speaking to your ADHD friend who can't stay on topic but will always get to the point eventually. Now, that style of content may not be for everybody, but I just kind of don't like the idea that people are like, it's bad content. No, it's just not content that you jive with. Now, one of the biggest issues it is that Nicholas Diorio pointed out in Mika's Rhetoric's video is that she has a lot of disclaimers before she starts a video. Now, I can 100% understand why that might be annoying to some. However, this time she was speaking about having an uncomfortable feeling about making this video, even though she wanted to make the video, because of the harassment it is that she faced at the hands of H3 fans when she made a video about Ethan Klein a long time ago.
I have a pretty intense anxiety disorder, and the only time I've contemplated quitting the internet with like certainty was in reference to discussing Ethan Klein before, and I was treated in a way that maybe allegedly in Minecraft could be considered harassment, because they were making an account where they were dedicated to like saying all this stuff about me and how evil I am, and then they were DMing people that I'd worked with on other videos that I was this horrible, evil, morally corrupt individual and all this stuff. When we talk about the inception of the podcast, it was not responded to well for a long time, and this has been discussed by many different videos at length, including so I was watching. I always know that I'm right when I have the opposite opinion of Nicholas Diorio, because
now anybody who has encountered H3 fans knows that they are rabid dogs. CC in Adam McIntyre, I'm sure he'll tell you. And Ethan Klein at no point does anything to discourage this behavior. So shortly before Ethan Klein's return, during this hiatus, he took to Instagram once again to talk about another content creator who made a critical video about him. Wow, people don't agree with me, wow. He's literally a 40-year-old baby. This is what it is that Ethan Klein had to say. Another dummy taking a ticket and getting in line. Lots to talk about when we return. LOL. Now, as you can imagine, the moment that Ethan Klein said that he was going to be speaking about a particular content creator, posted the content creator's channel, a lot of H3 fans, even before Ethan Klein had live streamed, literally zeroed in on the Ethan Klein video and went over there to attack Mika's Rhetoric. And a lot of the attacks on Mika's Rhetoric was against her physical appearance, to which I personally believe, this is Paige Christie speaking over here, I personally believe that the H3 team were aware of. There were literally people on the H3 subreddit putting her face on the body of Ursula, and when a fan turned around and said, hey, it's not cool to make fun of people's appearances, other members of the H3 fandom were like, shut up, cry more. Now those screenshots it is that I just showed you were screenshots that I personally took on my phone whilst the podcast was live. And whilst the podcast was live, the H3 production team were posting various different memes that were entered into the subreddit. The H3 production team specifically, Dan. However, there are several team members who have direct moderation access to the H3 subreddit. So their lack of prompt to remove disparaging content about Mika's Rhetoric's looks, whilst in tandem showing live the memes it is that they approve of, honestly just sparks negligence to me.
Oh, Goku Naru.
Oh no.
Jake Doolittle and Aubrey.
Yeah.
All in your room. I feel like I'm dogs with Gok now. Me and Gok are dogs.
Even some hours after the podcast, these pictures were still available on the H3 subreddit, which again, Ethan, Dan, AB, at the very minimum, all have access to and moderation roles. Now again, Mika's video was definitely politically geared and very much spoke about the H3 cast members almost as if they are archetypes of their minority groups, which was not something that I personally am down with. And there is more than valid criticism and debate for Ethan Klein to have there. However, for the most part, he just spoke about her looks, then walked back those comments, called her dumb, stupid, and that he hated her content, whilst subjecting his fan to almost 40 minutes of her 47-minute video.
Like this dummy, Mika, who I had never heard about. I don't know who she is. She's a small commentary creator.
Yeah.
So her video, by the way, is called ironically, a nuanced conversation on H3 and public perception. Oh, sounds like a really thoughtful, analytical video.
I'm ready to watch that. That sounds interesting.
And if people think that I'm weak in that regard as well, I understand, honestly.
What?
And I also have like a
The
pretty
thing is like she's hedging super fucking hard because even though she opened this video saying she's so terrified to make this video because of you, the reality is what she's actually afraid of is her fellow snarkers. Because they are the first ones that are going to turn on her and bite her fucking head off for not going hard enough or focusing on the right things or
running
whatever.
defense for E star.
Yeah, and she might not even realize it, but that is what you're doing. None of these disclaimers were in any way a prevention of, you know, our fans or your fans coming after her.
True.
She is deathly afraid of all of the other idiots
she should
that she hangs out with.
Those people are fucking piranhas.
I guess you're right. You're right.
My mental health is very silly, but again, I just want to be honest, right? I have a pretty intense anxiety disorder.
Here we go with more fucking hedging. What the fuck? She's so scared. She has anxiety. Then get off the internet. If you have anxiety, just go off the internet.
Yes, this is not healthy
You
for someone
didn't
with a
need to
severe
make this
anxiety
video.
disorder. You should not be a YouTuber.
And
shut up. It's not my problem. I don't care, okay? Just say what you want. Holy fuck.
She gives like 50 reasons to not make this video and still fucking makes it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like a full terms of service.
That's actually what was on the paper. Reasons why not to make this video.
Pros, cons.
Yeah.
The pros probably are pretty heavy,
Pros,
though.
views.
Yeah, views and subs.
Somebody said she's point phobic. Get to it.
True. Like that.
The only time I've contemplated quitting the internet with like certainty was in reference to discussing Ethan Klein before.
I have no idea who you are. Apparently, her talking about me made her want to quit the internet. I've never heard of you. I don't know anything about you. I've never talked about you. If it made you want to quit the internet, maybe your intuition was right.
And I was treated in a way that maybe allegedly in Minecraft could be considered harassment.
By who? Not even our fans, probably. By fucking people that hate me.
Because they were making an account where they were dedicated to like saying all this stuff about me and how evil I am. And then they were DMing people that I'd worked with on other videos that I was this horrible, evil, morally corrupt individual and all this stuff.
I think she's lying. I'll say it. I think she's straight up lying about that. I don't fucking believe a thing she says. Not that it matters because I didn't do any of that. I didn't even know you exist, lady.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, give me another 1,000 reasons why you're so scared to make this video. Jesus.
Now, in this comeback podcast, Ethan Klein stated that anybody who says anything about him, they're gonna catch all the smoke. That he's not letting things lie or rest anymore. He's attacking it head on. And that any content creator, no matter how big or how small, was gonna get it.
All of these motherfuckers who want to come and talk shit. Listen, if you're going to talk shit about me, I have a policy. This goes for everybody. I don't give a fuck how small of a creator you are. If you talk shit, you're fair game.
So that kind of led me to the question of, why are we focusing on Aubrey Smalls and Mika's rhetoric and their very inconsequential videos that I honestly don't believe has actually harmed the perception of Ethan Klein and his H3 podcast show at all, due to these people's limited amount of impact? Because again, had Nicholas Diorio not found this video and decided to speak about it on his platform, it would never have amplified Mika's Rhetoric's video. Mika's Rhetoric's subsequent growth in subscribers as well as monetarily and views was purely based on the amplification of Nicholas Diorio and Ethan Klein. I mean, even Evangelina Skov, another content creator who has made Ethan Klein content, has been vocal more recently about Ethan Klein content not really doing well for her channel at all.
Nobody watches my videos about Ethan. I think I've made like 2, maybe. They're some of my worst performing videos, to be perfectly honest with you. And why am I here doing it again? He annoys me.
I feel like I'm one of the few people who can make an Ethan Klein video and it'll get hit. But that's because I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. I have been on this train of disliking Ethan Klein since day dot. I disliked Ethan Klein when my ancestors were building the pyramids, bitch. I have been disliking Ethan Klein since the plantation. I have been disliking Ethan ever since the stupid little beanie hat. I've been consistent. I'm a consistent queen. But back to the topic of the video. Why did Ethan Klein focus on two extremely irrelevant and inconsequential individuals instead of focusing on a much bigger story that I genuinely believe that Mika and Aubrey were used to suppress? So let's talk about the H3 Snark Reddit lawsuit and why Ethan Klein will not answer Adam McIntyre. So approximately a month ago, Adam McIntyre made a video called Ethan Klein Needs to Address This, in which Adam McIntyre discusses the H3 Snark Reddit being hit with numerous different copyright claims. Now, just to bring you up to speed, if you skip past some bits, the H3 Snark Reddit is basically a place where people who dislike the podcast, people who dislike Ethan Klein, can talk shit about him freely. Because as we know, the H3 podcast subreddit is moderated by the team, so disparaging and negative critiques about the H3 podcast as well as its show hosts tends to be wiped away. And I mean, that's their subreddit, they can do with it as they see fit. However, it's unsurprising that there has now become a space where people who do want to criticize, whether that's positively criticize or simply to just hate on these people, they made a new place to go. So last month, Adam McIntyre basically did a call-out video to Ethan Klein and stated, the H3 Snark subreddit is alleging that you are placing false copyright claims on the subreddit in order to get the subreddit terminated. It's quite clear that the content that you have selected for copyright falls within fair use. So Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast, why are you abusing the copyright system?
You cannot hide behind trying to silence a fucking snark page. Specifically when you guys were fucking sourcing out the fucking Trishy land of last year. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Just because the views are down, the memberships are down, whatever the fuck is going on, it doesn't mean you can silence criticism, because that is not fair. Specifically, if you're going to do it this very weird way when it comes to fair use and copyright, which you got a successful peak on YouTube for, because you fought against. Because you fought against it.
This video gained around 100,000 views and went into detail about the copyright infringements that were placed against the H3 Snark subreddit. Now, for a period of time, the H3 Snark Reddit went dark. Once lawyers and legal notices and letters and all of that kind of stuff were making its way through, the moderation team had a little bit of a regroup to see if they could continue even running the Snark Reddit. Adam McIntyre basically said in his video if Ethan Klein could prove that the allegations that the H3 Snark Reddit were levying against Ethan Klein, that he was unfairly copyright claiming videos on the subreddit, that Ethan Klein could prove that this was untrue, then Adam McIntyre would go forth and make a retraction online for the allegations that were levied against him. Adam McIntyre in this video was basically begging Ethan Klein to prove that this is not going on, begging Ethan Klein to prove him wrong.
Go on, I know you want to prove the Reddit wrong. Prove them wrong. Prove your snark wrong. Disprove it. Disprove that you're copyright striking criticism of content clips against you and you're the fair. Disprove it. Come on. We are rooting for you. Come on, chat. We are rooting for them. Just do it. And if you will, we will all be on here and we'll be like, yes, it wasn't them. And you know why? Because on a video yesterday, I spoke about how much I respected Ethan when it came to fighting for fair use and fighting for copyright protection. Go on, disprove it. Disprove it so I can double down on, while I may have issues with Ethan, I respect him for fighting for fair use. I respect him for fighting for YouTube copyright. You know why? Because it directly affects me with the content I make. And regardless of my opinions of him, I fucking respect him for fighting that battle back then. But if this is true, then it all crumbles. Disprove it.
Now, despite at the time Adam McIntyre's video having over 100,000 views on the topic, that is extremely condemning to the reputation of H3, which we'll discuss in a moment, Ethan Klein came back and did not give any airtime to the allegations that I really do think can have a much bigger harm to the reputation of H3h3, and focused on the little person and Mika's rhetoric's rambling video. And again, Mika's video was extremely inconsequential because it did not have the views until people put a spotlight on it. Now, I originally wasn't going to speak on this situation because I genuinely felt that Adam McIntyre did a fantastic job of laying out the story for everybody. And if I don't have anything to add to a conversation, I'm just not going to talk. However, a couple of days ago, there were some new developments on the Snark subreddit. The moderators of the H3 Snark subreddit came through with receipts, as well as legal notices and documentation, showing that H3 Productions, under the TED Inc. umbrella, had used the same lawyer that aided Ethan Klein and Gila Klein in their monumental copyright and fair use lawsuit. They attempted to use that lawyer to sue the H3 Snark Reddit, to which I believe that the moderation team of the H3 Snark Reddit have been able to sufficiently prove to me, at least, that these are unfair copy claims with the intent to silence and dismiss criticism in a place that the H3 podcast cannot control. But before we get into the lawsuit and we go through it piece by piece, brick by brick, yes, this is going to be a long video, girl. Whilst I was taking a look at some background information on the H3 Snark Reddit, I ended up stumbling across a post that was made that I genuinely just want to clear up and also use as an opportunity to call out, in a friendly-ish way, I guess, Nicholas Diorio. Now, whilst in a live stream, Nicholas Diorio, as he stupidly does quite frequently, ended up showing his inbox on Twitter, to which people had noticed that AB, one of the members of the H3h3 podcast, was in Nicholas Diorio's DMs. Other members of the H3 Snark Reddit had also noticed that my name was there too. And that started the whole, we don't like Paige, she supports yada yada yada. Now, I've had a parasocial love-hate relationship with Nicholas Diorio for quite some time. I respect him as a content creator. I think he's fucking fantastic at what he does, even if I don't agree with him. However, as a person, I find him insufferable, as he does with me. He doesn't like me either. However, I would say that there was a morsel amount of mutual respect. I stay in my corner, you stay in yours, and we're good. However, when I found out the update of the H3h3 Snark Reddit, as well as the lawsuits and legal documents and all of that kind of stuff, I reached out to Nicholas Diorio to let him know about it. As you can see on the screen, this is exactly what I said to Nicholas Diorio. Now, I did this because whilst Nicholas Diorio will suck the literal skin off Ethan Klein's phallic object, I do believe that Nicholas Diorio is a man of his word, and he understands that fair is fair. And he is more than willing to call out friends, which I've seen numerous times over his career on YouTube, for the good of what is right. I literally saw this boy disown his very good friend, John Swan, over lies it is that he told that reflected bad on the commentary community. Nicholas Diorio went out of his way to make a stance and say, this is fucked up and I don't stand by it. Now, I did also think to myself that maybe Nicholas Diorio just simply doesn't care about copyright law and copyright infringements and false copyright claims. But no, Nicholas Diorio also has a patented history of speaking about copyright infringements within his community, and he has spoken about it frequently. For instance, he has a video from 4 years ago about the content creator Susie Liu, who is placing false copyright claims on numerous different individuals within the commentary space, because again, she didn't like their criticism. This is what Nicholas Diorio had to say in a video about Susie Liu 4 years ago.
YouTubers who abuse built-in support systems to silence creators who are critical of them are the worst of the worst. Public figures who can't take jokes and go through the same avenues to silence satire are just as bad. The idea of being able to criticize a public figure exists through nearly every form of media publication, be it TV, newspapers, and digital media like articles and blogs. Kind of ironic that we're just 1 year past when she filed a false DMCA copyright strike on a YouTuber named Mark After Dark and was left with a slap on the wrist. This woman is so thin-skinned that she will silence any form of criticism that she can abuse through her tools and her channel channel manager at YouTube. At the end of the day, what we have here is a woman who simply can't take any form of negativity. She dismisses any critique as a hate video. She abuses YouTube's tools to silence criticism of her brand. And this woman is trying to rally creators to take a stand on criticism so they can get away with their degenerate bullshit. If this becomes normalized, people like I'm Alex could theoretically have removed the videos that vindicated Slazo. People like Tati Westbrook would be able to silence creators like James Charles. But the people this shit really hurts is the little guy. It creates an avenue for massive YouTubers to crush smaller channels who discover something worthy of being talked about.
Nicholas Diorio, even more recently, within the past like 4 months or so, has been speaking about another content creator called Dark Viper, who also has been accused of abusing the copyright system in order to silence negative critique about him on social media. So Nicholas Diorio has kind of always let it be known to him, his audience, and everybody around him that abusing the copyright system is bad for everybody within the community, bad for YouTube, and abusing the copyright system to silence critique or negative critiques about somebody is a shitty thing to do. However, since I explained that the false copyright claiming that was taking place on the H3 Snark Reddit was actually, I believe, in my humble opinion, completely unfounded, I did not hear back from Nicholas Diorio. Now, let it be known that Nicholas Diorio is not very well liked on the H3 Snark Reddit either. So the situation could be that Nicholas Diorio may not care about this stupid little subreddit being taken down, because at the end of the day, the majority of Reddit's moderators work for free, and it really isn't hurting anybody's back. However, I believe that there should be a place for everybody to be able to say what they want at all times. For example, in a recent Nicholas Diorio livestream video that he posted to his channel, he poses the question to the audience as to why the H3 Snark Reddit even exists. And he can't understand why this horrible negative subreddit is still up.
I think it's shocking that that subreddit is even still active. How is the H3 Snark Reddit still up and all the other subreddits like that have been banned?
Well, Nicholas Diorio, there is an entire lore that I have discussed on this channel extensively. But the main reason that the H3 Snark Reddit exists is because Ethan Klein has had a patented history of mobilizing his audience to attack other people. He has encouraged his fans to go to hate snark threads of other people that it is that he dislikes, such as Trishyland. And when the Snark Reddit of Trisha Paytas went down because there was disputes between the moderation team about the direction of the Snark Reddit, Ethan Klein and his team took it upon themselves to create their own called Frenemies 15. And then in a live stream, continued to ask their audience to come into this snark thread so that they could continue the fun.
Real quick, small, interesting little update, I think.
Oh no.
Is this a new development?
Frenemies too. Oh, you have to request to join?
It's private.
Did I fuck this? Did I do this?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh man. What happened?
We talked about it on the show, we must have just gotten bum rushed by a bunch of fans.
Holy fuck.
Damn.
The moderators have set this as private. Once approved. Shit.
Love the sad music.
Well, I gotta request access now. I mean, I need to know what's going on Frenemies too.
Definitely. I wonder if
it's not even letting me.
Frenemies 3? Oh, Frenemies 3 is still open.
Well, Frenemies 3 is going to be Frenemies 2.
Right.
Left side he secured Frenemies 12, so we're safe.
Okay.
Wait, Frenemies 12 is us?
Yeah.
Oh!
Wait, why
Frenemies
can't
12 is the official one.
Hang on.
What if Frenemies 12 people, since Frenemies 2 is closed?
Frenemies 2 is like home base. You know what I mean?
Why have they done this? Also, it doesn't even let me request. Only approved members can take part.
It's so unfortunate.
Oh, fuck. I fucked up. What happened? This Frenemies 2.
It's okay, everybody migrate to Frenemies 12. This is the new home.
Frenemies 12 is the new home?
Yeah,
Okay, that's the one we have, right?
That's the one that Love has, yeah.
After a while of people becoming wise to Ethan Klein and noticing this behavioral pattern of throwing his audience every single time at anybody it is that he dislikes or has any criticism for him, people who had a problem with that became the birth of the H3 Snark Reddit. Now, Nicholas Diorio, do you remember in Tommy C's live stream when you called me a stupid bitch because I didn't understand the lore of everything that was taking place with Illuminati? And you rightfully called me out on that because I gave my opinion with limited understanding. Well, you two also don't have the full context of the lore of the H3 Snark subreddit and how it became to be. And this is why I think it's hard for Nicholas Diorio to dislike me, because I can take an L and I'm morally consistent. I am not a fallen fan. I have never liked Ethan Klein. My documented disdain for Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast as a whole has been going on long before the popularization of Israel versus Palestine, so I'm not politically motivated. I've defended Ethan Klein's rights to his beliefs, regardless of whether I believe in it too. I have openly and publicly supported Ethan Klein against Jake Doolittle and the fuck shit it is that he tried to pull. And I even defended Ethan Klein when it came to the QT Cinderella situation, where I felt like, yes, the joke was in bad taste, but I don't believe it was done intentionally and maliciously. So for somebody who vehemently dislikes Ethan Klein, I give him grace. Fairly and frequently. And I have never ever attacked Ethan Klein based on his political or cultural beliefs. Because again, he's entitled to his wrong opinion. So whilst you might dislike the ethos of the H3 Snark Reddit and what it stands for, the same way that you needed that Tommy C podcast space to be able to scream into the ether that I am a stupid bitch, these people have the right to be able to say that Ethan Klein is a see you next Tuesday. So now that we've got the whole Nicholas Diorio situation clear, let's take a look at this lawsuit. So 4 days ago, the H3 Snark subreddit and the moderation team for that subreddit posted, confirmed Ethan Klein hired an attorney to issue copyright claims against the r/H3 Snark. On the 17th of December 2024, the r/H3 Snark mods were sent evidence that an attorney acting on behalf of TED Entertainment Incorporated had been filing DMCA takedown notices against videos on the sub. An OP whose posts/clips were removed by Reddit's legal operations team submitted an intellectual property inquiry with Reddit legal support and sent us screenshots and a PDF of Reddit's response. Now, what's H3h3/Ethan said about clipping his videos in the past? On January 25th, 2023, Ethan announced on air that he was opening up the H3 IP to the world after being inspired by Hassan Piker and the Hassan Abbey industrial complex. He was excited that clips from his non-members and members-only content could possibly help others gain some financial stability and even give them a chance to grow on their own YouTube channels. H3 talked about how excited they were that they opened up their IP on the show more than once.
I am opening our IP to the world. This is a message with peace and love.
You can now make your own H3 podcast. That's right, everyone.
I guess you could.
What you mean?
That's not what I mean. Oh, that's not what I mean. No. Gotcha. You can't make a fake H3 podcast. Although you probably could actually, because I don't think anyone would mistake it.
I mean, if it's a parody, you can do whatever you want.
Anyone would mistake it. So our IP is open. I got inspired by Hassan. He has the Hassan Industrial Complex. So I want the Ethan Industrial Complex. I think it's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
And it's actually crazy how many people are seemingly making a decent living from having their own clips channels of him. Mm-hmm. So if you want to cut up clips from the podcast, from our members live, from anything with me in it, go for it, man. Monetize it. I will not claim. I will not remove. I will not do anything. I mean, to be fair, it's basically been my policy. I don't claim or remove anything really at all.
But now you're making it explicit.
Yeah. We opened up our IP to anyone who wants to make clips.
H3.
Here is H3 Industry hard at work with 2 videos, 2 subscribers. Let's go. Get in there, boy.
Almost exactly a year later, Ethan Klein made another announcement on air and via Instagram stories that he was going to start DMCAing all members' content and warned creators that using members-only clips that they should remove those clips if they don't want to strike against their channel. The video chapter in the episode is even titled SYNT Highlights, referring exclusively to members-only content. Ethan said he felt it was unfair that content intended for paying members was being shared by clip channels for free, which I think we can all agree is 100% fair.
So anyway, here's what we're doing. I had said previously that you can clip our podcast, and I had even said that you can clip the members. So here's what I'm saying, finally.
There's a clip.
You can clip the members if it's reasonable length. Full re-uploads will be erased with DMCAs with peace and love.
Delete.
So no full re-uploads.
Delete.
If it's a reasonably length highlight, we will let you survive.
Ethan never publicly announced that he was closing his IP up or that he would strike clips of publicly accessible non-members H3 content. How do you know that Ethan is filing the DMCA takedown notices and not somebody else? OP's email from Reddit legal support confirms that claims against clips posted on the H3 Snark have been filed by a lawyer on behalf of TED Entertainment Inc. Ethan is the host of the H3 podcast / show and the co-founder of TEI. The lawyer acting on behalf of TEI has previously represented Ethan and Hila Klein in other lawsuits. They worked on their landmark fair use case, Hosinzadeh, I think I pronounced that correctly, versus Klein. A lawsuit that brought Klein's international recognition and respect, especially in the YouTube commentary community. They also worked on the Triller Fight Club LLC versus the H3 podcast. And they aren't lying, this was an extremely huge landmark case. In fact, in 2021, I had a lawsuit coming my way for defamation as well as copyright infringement. And during this dispute, my lawyer referenced the H3 podcast and their groundbreaking case as a case study against the people who felt that their IP was infringed on. So this H3 lawsuit that took place about 8 years ago now was a case that set the standard and set the precedent of what is to be expected when we are dealing with fair use and fair dealings laws, allowing for commentary to be equally qualified as transformative content. You can see a redacted copy of the PDF shared with the H3 mods team here. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is the email from Reddit legal support directly to the original poster on behalf of TED Entertainment Incorporated. It says, I am a licensed attorney and the authority agent of the copyright holder TED Entertainment Inc. This takedown notice concerns the Reddit post titled LB says far leftists hate Israel because Israel is backed by the West. And this can lead to anti-Semitism. Ethan agrees. So they continue and detail the post it is that they are referring to and basically saying that they feel like it can lead to anti-Semitism, which we're talking about a copyright infringement of somebody's IP. The consequence of the commentary in the title, for me, just is neither here nor there, or whether it can cause anti-Semitism. Then I feel like we're going down the roads of like defamation, slander, libel, rather than a copyright infringement. So it's kind of interesting that we're convoluting the two things in the same suit. Like, why are we discussing the impact of something if it isn't monetarily? And don't get me wrong, Ethan Klein and his attorney are completely entitled to their opinions and perspectives, but I just don't think it has any space here when it comes to copyright infringement of somebody's IP, legally speaking. As a copyright attorney, I examined the infringing post and the infringing clip together in their entirety. I have determined that the use of the infringing clip in the infringing post is not fair use. Below is a summary of some, but not all, of the key takeaways from my analysis. First, the use of the infringing clip in the infringing post does not serve a different purpose or have a different character than the original work. The title does not provide any commentary. LB says that far leftists hate Israel because Israel is backed by the West. I would consider that commentary, but okay. Rather, the title by the poster merely quotes parts of the infringing clip. Additionally, there is no comments to the infringing post other than automated moderator comment, and the moderators have prohibited the creation of any comments on the infringing post. Not only does the infringing post fail to provide any commentary, criticism, or further insight into the work itself, it could have easily achieved its purpose to inform Redditors of the contents of the infringing clip by either embedding or linking the original work at the relevant timestamp in the infringing post. Finally, the infringing post containing the infringing clip results in a market harm to the original work. Each view of the infringing clip siphons views away from the original work. This results in ad revenue derived from the original work. Further, if the conduct were to become widespread, i.e. other Reddit posts containing clips from the work without further criticism, comment, or further insight into the original work, this would further exasperate my client's loss of revenue. So basically, because this Reddit poster just gave it a caption, I guess, as a title of things that were directly taken as a quote from the original video. They believe that this doesn't constitute as commentary or enough commentary to make it transformative, and therefore infringes on Ethan and the H3 podcast's copyright IP. Now, if the infringing clip was the podcast show in its entirety, I would most definitely say that was infringing on somebody's copyright and he would have absolutely every right to take it down. However, as we're about to read, that is not the case here. So it continues. How did this all go down? Here's a timeline of events based on all of the information we've been able to gather so far. On the 20th of November 2024, the H3 show aired a publicly available live stream titled We Play Poker with Ninja, Impractical Jokers, and More. H3 show 83. At the time of this post, the runtime stands at 6 hours, 0 minutes, and 25 seconds. On the 22nd of November 2024, the original poster published a post containing a 20-second long clip from the H3 show 83 on Snark, which accounts for 0.000925% of the total runtime of the H3 83 podcast. The same day, the first DMCA takedown notice was filed by TEI authority agent. On the 25th of November 2024, the H3 show aired a publicly available live stream titled I Haven't Been Well, H3 show 85. At the time of this post, the runtime stands at 3 hours, 56 minutes, and 35 seconds. That same day, the OP published a post containing a 1 minute and 50-second long clip from the H3 85 show on the H3 Snark. The second one accounts for 0.776% of the total runtime of H3 85. On the 26th of November 2024, the second DMCA takedown notice was filed by TEI's authority agent against the same OP. On the 29th of November 2024, OP's post was removed, which is the first one, was removed by Reddit's legal operations team in response to a copyright notice. OP was issued with a warning from Reddit admin on that same morning. On the 6th of December 2024, OP's second post was removed by Reddit's legal operations team in response to a copyright notice. Later that morning, the mod team published false copyright strike mega thread. Ethan Klein is abusing the copyright system to censor criticism about himself and the H3 podcast on Reddit to the H3 Snark and announced a pause on uploading all clips to the sub. On the 7th of December 2024, the original poster submitted their intellectual property request about their first post and the second post to Reddit regarding the removals. On the 10th of December 2024, the H3 Snark mods publish a post titled We Are Resuming Clip Posts on the H3 Snark with advice for how snarkers could further transform the clips. On the 17th of December 2024, OP received the response email from Reddit's legal support and contacted the mod team. It continues. So why is Ethan striking clips of non-members' content on the H3 Snark? We don't pretend to know what goes on in Ethan's mind, but if we had to guess, it's probably because he wants to silence criticism about himself and the H3 podcast show. And I think Ethan Klein is probably not liking the fact that people can't see the podcast in its entirety. Like, maybe he feels like there should be more encouragement to see the podcast in its entirety so that he can have, context, I guess. Which I can totally understand, but also the idea of just putting the full original live stream just doesn't really work for the format of Reddit. Because should Ethan Klein decide to remove the entire live stream, then there is no archivable content for people to be able to pinpoint whenever he does, make a mess up or an F up or anything that needs to be addressed. That would give Ethan Klein full control over how his content is viewed, period. Because the T is, if the OP was to have uploaded the entire H3 podcast so that those context clues were available for the audience, then the OP would most definitely be infringing on Ethan Klein's intellectual property. It continues, H3 has censored criticism from viewers for a long time, disabling and heavily filtering, deleting comments on YouTube, shadow banning paying members from participating in the members only live chat, and banning people for even the slightest slightest pushback. This year, he has made it a habit to seek out criticism about himself on Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, etc., even from his own fans. So he can, to quote Ethan, pop out and show 'em. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. In his Instagram stories, longtime watchers of H3 also know that they often go back and remove footage after a live stream that they believe might spark controversy or bring them a lot of criticism or backlash. Because beyond the big censorship button that they can push at a 30-second delay, they have frequently in the past had to go up and trim entire sections of the podcast. This means that footage of H3's opinions, conducts during a live broadcast sometimes cannot be embedded or linked with a timestamp, making clips of publicly available non-members H3 content the only way to ensure that footage remains publicly accessible and viewable for critical commentary. Ethan's threatened to sue Reddit over this subreddit repeatedly. At first he said on air his lawyer said that suing Reddit would be pointless, but that didn't stop him from wondering whether the literal FBI could somehow help him shut this sub down. Despite saying that he's against snark subs, Ethan threatened to create a sub dedicated to snarking on Reddit executives if they did not permaban snark, and even made up a conspiracy theory that a specific Reddit admin is the reason we are still up and running. For over a year, Ethan has complained that he has no recourse with Reddit about getting us permabanned. He has repeatedly made false accusations with no proof about this subreddit, its community, and its people who associate with us. He admitted on air to creating a snark, presumably to discourage people from joining and participating in the r/H3 snark. He has aired uncensored screenshots of posts and comments from this sub to his reportedly tens of thousands of viewers on YouTube. This has resulted in members of our community being harassed by H3 fans and defenders on Reddit and other social media sites. Ethan also threatened to dox members of the H3 snarks. He's even joked before about doxing people and having a anthrax hookup. He recently combed through the profile of a user who criticized him on a different subreddit live on air because he suspected that they were a snarker. They were not. He doxed YouTuber North Star Radio live on air, berating him in front of his tens of thousands of viewers for posting H3 snark and making critical commentary video about the end of leftovers. His long rants about North Star Radio prompted brigaders to harass NSR on YouTube and other social media sites. Other commentary creators have even said that they have avoided talking about H3 and Ethan Klein because of the harassment that they have received from H3 fans. This behavior isn't new from Ethan. After all, he encouraged the same type of behavior towards Trisha Paytas after Frenemies, and is now doing the same to Hassan Piker, as well as smaller creators who have criticized him. We believe that Ethan is striking publicly accessible, non-members clips on the H3 snark as part of a larger project of censoring criticism about him on platforms that he cannot control himself. We suspect that he is trying to extend the reach of his echo chamber by doing whatever he can to stop people from discussing his beliefs, statements, and conducts as a public figure online, as well as sharing evidence of it in spaces beyond his control. It's funny, Ethan actually complained that Ryan Kavanagh of Triller Fight Club LLC versus the H3 podcast fame was doing the same to him. So what now? Well, Ethan Klein has never publicly said that he's closing up the H3 IP when it comes to clips from his non-members content. We know that he hasn't done this because there are still multiple H3 clip channels operating on YouTube, and H3 clips are still shared on other sites like Instagram, TikTok, and even other subreddits, seemingly without issue. Moving forward, we strongly advise that all clip posts to the H3 snark provide criticism/commentary in the title, must include criticism/commentary in the accompanying comments to promote discourse and add transformative elements to the video posted. We are not lawyers, but we are happy to answer snarkers' questions and work with the community as a whole to find ways for us to adjust as we continue to grow. Now, as you can see from this Reddit post, there are loads of sections that are in blue. These are all the accompanying receipts, threads, posts, pictures, images, censored content, timestamps, receipts.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots,
everything. Like everything it is that you could possibly need to be able to validate the claims it is that they are levying against Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, it seems, is going out of his way to censor criticism that he has completely no control over. Now, there is the question of whether the original person who posted this post to the Snark Reddit transformed the content enough in order for it to be deemed transformative. And honestly, for me personally, this is somewhat of a legal grey area. For me, I would consider a caption that accurately, and not clickbait, but accurately depicts what we're about to see is fair transformative content, especially for clips that are less than 2 minutes long and are less than 1% of the overall podcast, which at times can go on for literally 7 hours. I think that they make an extremely great point that if they don't have access to the ability to archive certain clips without embedding them in videos, that it allows Ethan Klein and the team to be able to sweep under the rug any behavior that they can catch some flack for. From this point forward, the H3 Snark Reddit have basically said if you want to post clips to the H3 Snark, you have to have a caption as well as commentary. However, I find it quite interesting that when it comes to the Snark, we went straight to litigation. Instead of attempting to speak to H3 Snark moderators and come to an agreement of how content can be posted on the platform, he's gone out of his way to like agitate the subreddit and also make casual posters or fallen fans get scared of even posting any critique about Ethan Klein because we know that this man is lawsuit happy. But for me, when it comes to Ethan Klein, like always, as I say in every single video, it's just about the hypocrisy. So let me lay out why I think it is extremely hypocritical for Ethan Klein to have done a knee-jerk reaction in this way when it comes to people having the ability to use his IP. Almost 8 years ago, Ethan Klein ended up being in a landmark lawsuit against another content creator called Matt Hoss. On the H3 podcast, Ethan and Hila Klein reacted to some of this guy's content. However, Matt Hoss felt as if them just reacting to his content wasn't transformative and that was his intellectual IP that they were stealing. Ethan and Hila Klein basically swiped back and said, "You're just upset that we are criticizing you and that's why you're trying to take it down by abusing the copyright system." So on the 25th of May 2016, Ethan and Hila Klein went onto the H3 podcast channel and basically told their viewers that they are being sued. That they also would like some financial help with this lawsuit because it is way financially out of their control, but also that what they did was fair use and transformative content. Now, this lawsuit was a groundbreaking lawsuit. When it comes to copyright infringement and the use of somebody else's IP, we have seen it in media publications. These kind of lawsuits, we have seen it on television and in entertainment. But at this point in 2016, we had not really seen it on the internet and how that works for commentators or people who do react style content. The H3 podcast ended up winning this suit after spending over $100,000 on the suit, setting a precedent across YouTube that commentary is transformative content, allowing literally everybody, including myself, who work on this platform to be able to critique and commentate and use clips to illustrate our subject matter without fear of copyright infringement.
After a lengthy battle, Ethan and Hila Klein, aka H3h3 Productions, won the lawsuit filed against them for copyright infringement, and it's being called a huge victory for YouTube. YouTuber Matt Hoss sued H3h3 Productions for copyright infringement and defamation back in February of last year. H3h3 used Hoss's video titled Bold Guy vs. Parkour Girl as content for their usual reaction style videos. They intercutted clips of their reactions with the original video. Matt Hoss alleged that they used too much of his original video and sued them for copyright infringement. He also issued a copyright takedown of their original video. And then Ethan and Hila made a video when they got sued.
Yes, we are being sued for copyright infringement. And it's been hanging over our lives like a cloud these past months.
Yeah.
We are being sued by Bold Guy, aka Matt Hoss Zone. And I think the heart and soul of this is like that he doesn't like that we made fun of him, and so he's suing us. And it's obvious to all of us, but unfortunately fair use is a legal defense. It's not anything more than that. And to determine what is actually fair use is determined in a costly and long court hearing. And because Matt Haas, that bold man who is impervious to criticism, doesn't like that we said naughty things about him, he wants to go all the way with it.
But Judge Catherine B. Forrest ruled in favor of the Kleins after a 1.5-year long battle that cost them over $100,000. She said, quote, "Any review of the Klein video leaves no doubt that it constitutes critical commentary of the Haas video. There is also no doubt that the Klein video is decidedly not a market substitute for the Haas video. For these and the other reasons set forth below, defendants' use of clips from the Haas video constitutes fair use as a matter of law." They've now re-uploaded their reaction video, and Ethan tweeted, "We won the lawsuit! Video coming soon. Huge victory for fair use on YouTube."
Now, since this moment, Ethan Klein has kind of been put up there as like the god of fair use and fair dealings laws. And whenever there is a content creator who is finding themselves in a really sticky copyright infringement situation, Ethan Klein has frequently offered his help. For instance, there was a situation with another content creator called Spillsesh, who had been served a copyright strike or a copyright notice from the company Superbam. We all know who Superbam is, girl. They are infamous for this. They copyright claimed some content that was in Spillsesh's video that actually originated from a Trisha Paytas video. And Ethan Klein made it very well known and public that anybody who attempts to use copyright in order to silence criticism is a piece of trash.
And Ethan obviously saw all these channels complaining about Trisha and Superbam because he tweeted, "Creators that claim other creators' videos are the biggest pieces of on the platform." And then he put the toilet paper emoji. And if you know, you know, and I'm sorry. Ethan was also replying to some tea channels, trying to help them out and walk them through the disputing process. He replied to Spillsesh and said, "Superbam just does what people authorize/direct them to do."
There was also another situation with ABBA and Preach. I do believe this was last year, so only a couple of months ago, where ABBA and Preach were getting copyright claimed by Jubilee. And Ethan Klein, who hasn't really always had the friendliest relationship with ABBA and Preach, offered his contact, his details, and his help with the lawyer it is that he used for his own lawsuit that he won to help assist ABBA and Preach against Jubilee. This came so left field for ABBA that he literally was so confused and started shouting Avengers over and over again and thanking Ethan Klein for his help.
First off, gotta give a shout out. Ethan Klein, of all people, contacted me privately. I said, "Oh my God, is that H3h3 in my DMs? Is he about to..." Nope, he was there to say, "Hey bro, you need a lawyer for this copyright claim. I know the best in the business." I said, "Oh shit, Avengers! Avengers!" Yeah, that shit was crazy. It's like the enemy of my enemy. Oh man. So shout out to Ethan, okay?
And it's not just the copyright of content on YouTube. Ethan Klein has been extremely vocal about when he himself has been copyrighted by music in the music industry. For instance, he ended up getting a copyright claim on a video it is that he made parodying Colleen Ballinger's Toxic Gossip Train, to which he said if it needed to go that far, he's happy to take it to court, but I'm not sure it actually went that far.
Colleen claimed our video. It happened about an hour after we posted. I said, Colleen Ballinger uploaded Toxic Gossip Train to CD Baby and is claiming us. So here it is. She was generous enough to do our sharing revenue. Yeah, right. Guys, don't worry. I'm disputing it. She's not going to get... You guys know me. I take care of this. She's not going to get $1. It's annoying. It could take like 2 months to resolve if she really wants to be petty about it. But I know how to navigate this. It's just annoying and funny. I mean, and crazy. I hadn't heard of anyone else being claimed, and then we got claimed about an hour after the podcast. So it does lend some thought to the theory that she waited for us to go on break. It's really scummy and weird and like freakish to claim it because it's like an apology and it's supposed to be authentic and not something that she's making money from. But ultimately, it's very fair use because the song was analyzed and also the song that we made was a parody of her original song. So I think that it's absolutely fair use.
There was also another situation with another content creator called KSI. Last year, he made a song called In the Thick of It that everybody hated. So there was numerous different content creators who were making videos reacting to the music video. Ethan Klein also did the same, but then he ended up getting a copyright claim. Ethan Klein went on to call out KSI and also critiqued him for attempting to silence negative criticism behind the YouTube copyright system. Is it clicking? Is it clicking? Are we not Are we not experiencing that hypocrisy?
It starts off when the H3 podcast tweets out, "Our new episode got blocked by KSI, just as we predicted. However, we didn't expect him to reply like this." And then they attach 2 images of DMs that they had with KSI. The first one showing them sending a message to KSI, showing that their new episode was blocked in all regions, with the caption, "Fuck this shit to be honest, at KSI." And JJ responds, "Cry more pussy, womp womp." And H3 Podcast then replies back, "You typically block videos critical of you? Or is that a new thing? Since you became friends with Logan." Then he attaches an image of JJ reacting to Jake Paul's new song and continues, "Not the type of content you've ever made and benefited from, but now that you're on the other side of the fence, it turns out you're actually the giant pussy." H3 Podcast then quotes himself and adds KSI, and they write, "I have nothing but disdain for cowards like KSI that built their entire platform reacting to content, only to turn around and block others that do it to them. KSI literally made it, reacting to others' work, and now he wants to close the door behind him. Through various lawsuits, I've spent millions of dollars and hundreds of hours ensuring this type of bullshit can't happen on YouTube. And then for the offender to be one of our own, it's spitting in the face of the community that made him. I always wondered why KSI would team up with Logan Paul for anything, considering what a serial scammer and irredeemable psychopath he is. Why have all your pets died, Logan? But now I can see why. They are both scumbags that's only interest is fleecing their audience for as much money as possible. And thanks for the weeks of content now, bitch." Diorio responds, "This is a great take, if you omit all the context, lol," and attaches the DM of KSI saying, "Cry more, womp womp."
However, Ethan Klein and Hila Klein's brand, Teddy Fresh, have also been called out for infringing on other people's IP. A while back, there was a situation where people were able to find that Teddy Fresh, on a few different occasions, may have infringed on others' IP by recreating or replicating certain artworks. That's how I remember it briefly, but don't quote me on it. Now, I do believe that Hila Klein had apologized for this huge misstep and fired the person who cut corners in her brand. However, it ended up making Ethan Klein look somewhat hypocritical when he finally met his match in XQC. Not so long ago, XQC was getting called out for infringing on other people's copyright by creating React content that many people did not deem as transformative, and that Ethan felt was directly siphoning viewers from the original content. Now, let me make this clear. XQC is very liberal with his reactions. So I do believe that Ethan Klein in this situation does have some relevant, fair, and valid criticism. However, this was a situation of the right message but the wrong messenger, because on the heels of the Teddy Fresh controversy, XQC was able to leverage them infringing on the copyright of another person in order to distract from his own transgressions. But that's what happens when you make yourself the moral authority of IP case law.
Well, Ethan, you want to talk about amount of transformation? Then if we want to move on to that topic, let's just get some of your I think your wife's old merch, right? Which is a direct
yes, I love this topic.
I saw that. I've seen it, and some of the arguments you had against it. Oh my God! I think I changed the angle by 16 degrees, and I changed a little bit of the gamma color on this one. That's very transformative. Okay, Ethan, I'm gonna watch your entire thing, not react in any way, shape, or form. And I'm gonna change the color of the gamma and opacity, and I'm gonna rotate it sideways. That's gonna be transformative, right? Ethan, come on.
So let me ask you, before I address that, and I'm happy to, I'm gonna address everything you said about Teddy Fresh.
Go ahead.
What does it matter if I'm a hypocrite? How does that affect this conversation we're having? Genuinely, because we're talking about the philosophical nature of taking people's videos, right? And I'm having this conversation with you, but instead of answering the question, you're constantly deflecting to prove that, no, I'm a bad guy. And I don't see why you would do that other than the fact that you don't have a good argument to argue the substance. Like, why do you keep deflecting? What does it matter if I'm a hypocrite?
Well, dude, what does it matter that I'm a hypocrite? Well,
no, I'm genuinely curious, but I'll answer the Teddy Fresh before you do your monologue.
It discredits all your points and makes you look like
it doesn't. No, I'm genuinely curious. No.
You took the high road.
No, I really want you to answer it.
And you fell on your face flat. No, it's time to let on the facts.
No, it's an interesting philosophical question.
Prove me wrong.
Okay, first of all, the Teddy Fresh thing. So Teddy Fresh is a company with 30 employees. And by the way, I love whenever someone's losing a debate to me, they bring this up. It's literally the lowest hanging fruit. And if you know anything about me, you know I've talked about this 1,000 times. But I'll address it because you brought it up.
Go ahead.
We have like a whole team of designers. And sometimes our designers
are taking stuff way too close to the source, and I agree, and it's not okay.
Give a fuck. So does my editors, which makes us about equal on that topic. So you can still sometimes, when somebody gets confused at the company, when one of the sweatshop guys gets it wrong.
Hold on.
Oh, my bad. But when my editor gets it wrong, oh no, we are thieving.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Yeah, bring out Gila. Hey, bring him in.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. Hold on.
Your husband is bald.
I actually wasn't planning to come in, but you brought up Teddy Fresh. Listen, then talk to me, because I'm the person running Teddy Fresh, not him.
Yes.
If you want to talk about it, talk to me.
I understand, Hila. Okay. And the reason why I brought up that point, okay, is that sometimes some things happen where it's somebody else's fault, it's a mistake, it's a whatever, right? And some things just kind of happen, right? It's just kind of human nature, and just it's a course of time.
That's bullshit.
And the question is, what do you do about it?
Yeah, what are you doing about it on a daily basis?
I took action about it, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Since things came up online, people pointed out to us. We had meetings at the office. We made guidelines when we work with new graphic
What are you doing about it? That's the question.
What are you doing?
Okay, so the designs you stole. That's called being a thief. A thief, piece of shit, garbage.
Yes, that was not right when that happened.
Okay.
It hasn't happened in a long time, and we actually made efforts to prevent it. You have not.
Are we done talking about Teddy Fresh?
Yeah, if we're done talking about Teddy Fresh, it'd be better because I don't want to feel like we're ganging up.
Get out, thief, before I fucking Robin Hood this shit. Before I start spreading the wealth of your company to other people. Holy shit, I'm about to come at you guys for things and designs. Jesus Christ, bro.
You're being pretty silly, but ours is defensible. Yours is not. Or at least it's not defensible, but anyway, you know what? I mean, I don't see this conversation going much.
Guys, it is defensible thievery, guys. It's stealing in the right way.
No, I retracted that as soon as I said it.
Okay, so now that we have discussed everything and we're all caught up and up to speed with everything related to Ethan Klein and this current situation with copyright infringements, his history of objective hypocrisy, as well as why I believe that Ethan Klein decided to focus on Mika's rhetoric as well as Aubrey Smalls to distract from the real tea that's going on and the very important question that Adam McIntyre posed to him. What are my conclusions? The situation with Mika's rhetoric and Aubrey Smalls honestly just feels like Ethan Klein was just trying to swipe at some low-hanging fruit. As I've said a few times already, these people were extremely inconsequential to his brand, and I don't think it would have changed anybody's opinions a great deal. That's just how I'm taking it. I think there's a lot of people, especially politically driven, that don't stand with Ethan Klein fundamentally, and I don't think that that's going to change. Nothing that Aubrey and Mika have said has changed anything in that regard. So I find it very strange now that the people at TED Incorporated are attempting to control the discussion and the narrative surrounding their name. And they're doing that in a way that literally directly contradicts everything it is that they stand for and everything it is that they built their brand on. Ethan Klein chose two small content creators to throw tomatoes at, and his audience quite quickly, as we have seen, followed suit. And I'm not one of those people who sits there and thinks that a larger content creator cannot, speak out against criticism publicly, especially if that criticism was delivered to them publicly. I feel like every person has a right to speak their shit, like chat your shit. But I think it's important as content creators to be mindful of the power it is that you possess and the behaviors of your audience. Like, maybe the posts that are directly body shaming Mika's rhetoric should have been taken down immediately. Maybe we shouldn't create whole new subreddits for people to snark on people that Ethan Klein has an issue with. Maybe his audience shouldn't feel comfortable literally doxing people. I remember at the beginning when the Frenemies podcast fell apart and Trisha Paytas was in, I think it was like a WhatsApp group chat, desperately asking Ethan and Gila Klein to stop their audience from attacking her, and they did nothing. In fact, they directly told her in the text messages that they aren't going to be doing anything about it. And we saw for a period of approximately 2 years that woman get horrendously harassed.
Please. Stop. He is saying shame on you both. I was fucking
I've done a lot of fucked up shit. I have done so much shit, but no one deserves this. If someone asks you to stop talking, just stop talking. They won't stop, and it's not because they believe in whatever. It's literally just because they have hatred. I'm getting it from Eli, and he's like, this is a private chat. I tried to call him as I record the call. I just wanting him to know the fucking distress that I'm in. And you know what they're gonna do? They'll make a whole video about this, put their ads in and their sponsors. For what? What is this for? I don't care if you don't even know who the fuck I am, if they didn't know me at all. I am begging for it to end. This is too fucking much. All of it getting brought up again and just his ex is getting doxxed. His immigration stuff's everything. I'm just pleading for this to all end. Just begging. Because if the situation escalates and gets worse in any sense of the meaning of that, I just want people to know I asked Ethan, Hila, and everyone at H3 to stop. Because it is too much. It's too much. I get it. I'll wrap this all on myself, fine. But it's like, it's too much. I don't care if people think I'm acting or whatever. Like, it's straight up bullying and begging to stop. And they have the power to, and just... It's literally too much. He said it's too late, but it's not too late yet. It's gonna go too far. It's gonna go too fucking far. I'm fucking scared of that. I'm fucking so scared of it. This is just me being desperate. I'm fucking desperate. Just please stop. Everyone's saying it's not them. I went straight to them. This is the first time we ever talked since any of this happened. I haven't heard from Ethan and Hila for any of this. And I went to them like pleading, and their reaction was like, no, it's too little too late. We don't get to decide anymore what we, it's like, I'm just asking. I'm not telling anyone to do. I'm sincerely asking at like a breaking point. I tried to call privately, I tried to text privately, and I shared those texts because Ethan was like, I'm gonna share this. I didn't know. I take ownership. Doing Frenemies was the worst mistake. Talking shit about anyone on the internet. I fucking am so sorry because it is life damaging. It's life ruining. I'm pleading. I just wish there was like a 1 ounce of sympathy, remorse, or something. I just don't want this to escalate more. I'm not sharing this anywhere else. I can't monetize Twitter. There's no sponsor, there's no ads. I just want this out there. And this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for me. I'm just so pleading. Just stop. It's not drama. This isn't drama. This is my real life. Moses is real life. My mom, my father. They see it. It's on the subreddit. I screenshot all of it. It's so fucking scary.
People contacting her fertility clinic and telling them not to allow Trisha Paytas to have children. Basically, people asking to deny a human right of healthcare. People attempting to contact ICE in order to deport Moses before they had got married. People looking up all of the local schools where Malibu could potentially attend school in the local area, which is a huge worry and concern to that little girl's safety. And no matter how many times numerous different people, but most importantly, my goddamn self, told Ethan Klein, just step up and tell your audience that this is not okay, he put his head in the sand and said, it's not my audience. The same way he did to Mika's rhetoric. Even though I've showed you that in the small time frame that this took place, how much can happen when you don't say anything. When Ethan Klein decided to help out ABBA and Preach with their copyright infringement situation with Jubilee, ABBA created a distinct moment in that very video to tell his audience to leave the staff at Jubilee alone and directly apologize to any of the Jubilee staff that were affected by them not speaking up sooner. And that is what being responsible with your platform is.
But folks who go around contacting these people personally, saying all kinds of foul stuff, listen, critique them. If you want to dislike a video, that's fine. But don't say foul things. Don't contact advertisers. Don't do all that stuff because it's bad. And it doesn't matter what they end up doing to us. I just would not support that. And I mean, I've said this 100 times before and I'll say it again. Please don't. If you guys respect us, I want to be able to respect you. And I want you guys to engage in behavior that's respectable. Do not engage in the very kind of tactics that the people who would cancel us would engage in. Don't do that. Okay, so be better than that. And I'm sorry for any of the Jubilee staff who've actually been hurt by this or have been harassed or whatever. I don't wish that on you guys. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. No matter what happens to us with copyright strike.
For me personally, I have never really cared about Ethan Klein's political opinion and stance. I have been spanking Ethan Klein probably since like 2017, 2018, every chance I get, because of one thing and one thing only. The only consistent thing about Ethan Klein, his hypocrisy. Ethan Klein literally fought for our rights as commentators to be able to critique and give our opinion without fear. Yet now he's the person who is putting the fear in anybody who has an opinion about him. So just like we learned from the Haas versus Klein lawsuit of 2016, Ethan Klein, you can't litigate public opinion. Anyway, that is about it from me. Thank you guys so much, girl. I have been talking for so long. I've been here for like 4 hours almost, just talking nonstop. I had to take a break and have some juice or something because my voice was getting croaky. But before I go, I just want to let you guys know once again that coming up towards the end of the month / February, we will be starting a brand new podcast. I have a team, I have people, I have co-hosts. It's just going to be amazing. Just please, please, please make sure you tune in. I will leave the link to it in the description box down below so that you guys can be ready when we launch. And also all of the relevant subject material and all of that good stuff is going to be in the description box down below. My Ethan Klein playlist will be somewhere on the screen as well. And with that being said, I believe in free speech and I believe in the ability for people to say whatever it is that they want to say, even if I don't like it. And if I don't like it, I just remove myself from those spaces. It really is truly that simple. And I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is you're doing. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches, it's been Paige. Why did I do it like that? That was fucking weird. Right, bye.